Hey there, I'm Caden Rains, and welcome back to my basement. I know it's been a little while, but alas, life gets in the way sometimes, and I was working and working and working, and then videos did not get made, boxes did not get opened, Legos did not get put together. It was a stressful time, but that time has passed for now. Work is always going to rear its ugly head again, but for a little while, that's on the low side of my priorities, or well, time commitments, I suppose, as I can finally get back to putting things on my shelves and my tables and all that jazz. So, today we're looking at two Nendoroids that came recently. They are tangentially connected in the theme that one is a horse and one is a character who likes horses, so that's pretty neat. Um, and that's just what I'm going with. And I didn't really want to just do two videos on these two, so I figured one video on each of them together would be fine. And it gave me an excuse to draw that thumbnail. So let's start with Twilight, because I've done more from her franchise than Blitz's, so we're just gonna go with that reasoning. So let's get started with the Twilight Sparkle Nendoroid. So here's Twilight out of the box. Generally gets the look from the show. If you remember my video on Sunset, I was more into the spin-off series, but I got this. They made a Nendoroid of one of Sunset's girlfriends, so I was like, okay, we'll just get that. Maybe they'll make a Sunset Nendoroid next. I know that's never gonna happen. You don't have to comment below. You can though, if you would like to tell me how dumb a thought that really is. I wouldn't mind a Discord Nendoroid, or Nendoroid, because I enjoyed Q growing up in Next Gen and Voyager, and I liked that they basically just put Q in the cartoon about the horses. But while I eventually liked the back and forth between Discord and Fluttershy, it always kind of irked me that Fluttershy did in 20 minutes. It's what Janeway and John Luke couldn't do in years, and that was get Q under control, because I'm going to act like they're the same franchise for some reason. But anyway, some of the main accessories Twilight comes with are this stump with one of her books on it. If it's a specific book, I don't know. Alternate expressions, we got a winking one, and then I don't know, very upset about crazy, going crazy kind of expression. So those are fine. I think they're fine. As far as she goes, just even though she's a horse or a pony, she works the same general way the other Nendoroids do, with various joints where you'd expect there to be joints, and they all kind of use the same pin for everything. And then you can just pop her head off, or well, the face off, and then her hair off of that, and then plop in whatever face you want to of her options. So if you want going crazy Twilight, you can have going crazy Twilight. It's all these Nendoroids work the same general way. I do kind of wish that some of the faces obviously wouldn't work for this one, but on the general other Nendoroids, where they're human shaped, were a bit more interchangeable. But they do, the heads, I mean in general everything, but the heads are unique to each one, more so than you'd kind of expect with some of them. So additionally, she comes with two other types of accessories, those being alternate wings. So her default are these closed up wings, and they just pop off. In fact, they probably pop off a little too easy. But then she has open ones you can toss in there, and those seem a tiny bit more stable than the closed ones. I think that they're way too big open, so I won't be leaving them on her. And I kind of wish this was the early season version of her where she just didn't have wings, because I just don't think I'm going to leave the wings on at all, but that means she's just got these holes on her side. I'm going to just pose her so that you don't see them as much, but they are there. The other final accessory she's got is that you can choose to change out her front legs for these bent ones, which is neat, I guess, but it is, you then need to get the stand, which she comes with a stand just like all the other Nendoroids, and her spot to plug into it is on her stomach, which makes sense because the others that are on the back would mean you'd need a whole extra apparatus to get it to there. I won't be leaving the bent knee ones on there, but I like that they're included, and you get one for her other leg as well. So if you wanted to go that route, you could. Additionally, I mean, if they wanted the wings real bad, maybe some little thing that, I guess this would have been another new mold, which probably wouldn't do it, but something that would have covered these, but then you could just kind of pry out with your nail or something. I would have liked that. But I know that's a really niche thing, but whatever. The final thing I want to note about her before we move on is that it doesn't have anything to do with her being a Nendo. So when I did my sunset video, I believe I mentioned that I have a bunch of the other mini dolls from the Equestria Girls series, because most of them that I bought were in, bundles, batches, whatever you want to call them. And that got me a couple mini dolls from other characters, including Twilight here. And what I was kind of amused to discover was that the Nendoroid head is the same general size as the mini doll head, so that I can just stick on these glasses and now Sunset can have pony girlfriend, whatever. That's the size comparison between the two, which makes about sense. That's generally what probably most people think of when they think of a pony, even though a lot of ponies are like 5 feet tall as they're standing, which is still pretty tall. It's still a pretty big horse. I know a lot of other horses can get a lot bigger, but I mean, 5 feet is nothing to sniff at, but whatever. So I'm going to leave her like this as I put her on the shelf. And again, my main reason for getting her was in hopes that might, I know one person's money doesn't change much, but might lead to a character I actually wanted. If they make more Nendos from the MLP series that isn't Sunset, or like I said, maybe Discord, I probably won't be getting them because that's just not my jam. But I watched a lot of MLP with the old girlfriend I mentioned in that Sunset video, and so it does have some nostalgia for me. I don't hate it. I think it's actually a generally good show. It's just I wasn't its target audience, and I wasn't one of the people who made it the target audience of their life, or however you want to phrase that dumb thing I just said. So anyway, that's the Twilight Nendoroid, who's now the Sci-Twi Nendoroid as far as I'm concerned. Let's look at the Blitzo Nendoroid and then find a place for both of them on the shelf. So here is the Blitz Nendoroid. I did have to throw out the stand from the get-go because he will not stand on his own. His little body will not hold up that big old head of his. So, I mean, and that's pretty much the norm with most Nendoroids. I mean, even Pomni you can see in the background. If she's not leaning up against something, she will fall over because I don't have her with a stand. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm not really concerned about it. So Blitz works like with Twilight. He works basically the same way. You know, you've got your posability and whatnot of different arms and legs and heads and all that. Now this is more humanoid, so it's a little bit more what we're used to. These legs could be a little more posable. They obviously don't have knees if you can't see that for some reason, but the waist joints back and forth, and it's not the coat. He just does. His right leg does not want to go. It goes side to side, but not front to back, which is not an issue I've had before with Nindos. His tail also doesn't really move. It has some give, but its joint is right up against his coat. So in that case, it is the coat keeping it from moving much more. For accessories, of course, we've got alternate faces, which is the norm. One is his, little shy, did I do that kind of face, and the other is your dad calls me daddy too, or whatever action-y face you want to go with there. So those are fine. I don't think I'll be using either of them. I think I'll probably stick to this default face, but like with other Nindos and, like I said, Twilight, it just pops right off. In fact, it's pretty, like, it doesn't even have any clips or pins or whatever you want to call them. This pretty much relies completely on friction, which I know some of them do, but like even Twilight had some bits that stuck out from her face and into the next part, so, whatever. Other accessories, we have one right arm, which is holding his phone. Technically, this is a sticker, and it's one it came with. In fact, for some reason, it came with two. It's the picture of him and his sister with their mom when they were kids, before he, set himself and her on fire, and his best friend. Spoilers, I guess. But I kind of wish it came with different stickers if they were going to do that, instead of two of the same one. But, whatever. So there's that one, and then there's two hands for his other side. One comes with the gun, which does not come out. It's all one mold. And one has the book, which I don't think is big enough. I know this is a chibi form, but the book is pretty big on him because he's like 3 or 4 feet tall. He's like, most of the imps are not very tall. So I think, I might give him the gun, and like we've talked about with Nindos before, you just pull one out and then stick it in. Which, I guess I could make more jokes about that saying, considering the character I'm talking about, but I'll try to restrain myself. So there's that. You can stick that one on there, and then what you kind of have to do, or what you can do, is that the upper arm part just pops off. So for the gun, you have to do that because it doesn't come with its own upper arm, but you can also take the upper arm off his initial arm, his default arm. I feel like I'm saying arm too much. And then stick it on like that. So that's also a possibility. But then you do have, if you wanted to mess with the bent arm, so you have him pointing upwards, you could do that as well. I might not keep him with the gun. I don't know. I'm going to have to play with him some more. But, it's a Nindo. All the Nendoroids are kind of similar to a degree, even like what we saw with Twilight back there. They follow a design pattern that's obviously personalized to the figure and character, but the design pattern, the design style is pretty consistent. And while you're not going to have full range of motion the way you do with other characters and action figures, like the Ninja Turtles and whatnot you see in the background, they are still posable. And with short characters like this, or short-ish characters like this, I still like that the Nendoroids kind of fill that niche of character size without them just looking like a child. Like that's my problem with a lot of small scale figures. When you put them next to the this 5, 6, or 7 inch scale, they just look like kids. Like the Simpsons kids back there, they're still 4 inch scale. They're just not 4 inches tall, and that's what I prefer. Nendoroids kind of walk that line because they are their own scale, or roughly. I guess they're roughly 4 inch, but they're not 4 inch scale. They're just their own chibi scale. And since Blitz is so short compared to like a human or a Ninja Turtle or whatever, him being this size works for me. Twilight being that size works because she's a little pony. Maybe even My Little Pony. I don't know. So yeah, like I said the same thing when we talked about the Pomni Nendoroid, and I still kind of stand by that for Pomni, even though there is a 5.5 inch tall figure coming out for her that I have not decided if I want to waste the money on. Waste is a strong word. It looks like a good figure, but it's also one of those like $70 figures, and I always have to think long and hard about those. Um, that's what she said. That's not at all what Blitzo sounds like, but whatever. I can't do his voice. I've never tried. So maybe I could eventually. But anyway, the point is, I like this scale for certain characters. Like I have some Sonic Nendoroids that we'll get to eventually, and then there's some other ones that we'll go over that I don't know if I regret getting. There's only one Nendoroid I have that I absolutely regret getting. Once I got it, I was like, why did I get this? The rest, I'm like, there's a reason I got these, and I do not feel bad about it. And I guess if anything feels bad about it, it's the fact that they were my gateway to all these other figures, because most of them I would not have gotten if I hadn't started with the Nendoroids. The Nendoroids are a gateway drug, at least for me. You hear that, Blitz? Gateway drug. So anyway, now that I've rambled, let's find a place for these two on the shelf and see how they look and call it a day. All right? All right. So here we are at the shelf, and we're back at the sunset center of it, where I, for now, have put both the Sidechwy and Blitz Nendoroids. I don't know if Blitz is going to stay there, but he is a horse lover, and the other option I had for him was to find somewhere on the villain shelf, which still might happen. And before you type, but Caden, he's not a villain. He's not a good guy either. He kills people for fun and profit. And just because there's worse people doesn't make him a good guy. I'll remind you of your 9th grade English class, and that the protagonist of a story does not mean a hero, or at least doesn't have to mean. So, but for now, he can just watch the horses because that's what he likes to do, and the Sidechwy Nendoroid can be surrounded by all the sunsets, just as we all should desire in life. So, that's them for now. Let me know down below if you have either of these Nendoroids, Twilight Sparkle or Blitz, from My Little Pony and Hell of a Boss, respectively. I know it might be kind of an odd combination, except for the fact that Blitz has like a horse fetish or whatever, but I wanted to put these two out there, and I thought it'd be kind of funny to do them together. And it gave me a reason to show off all the sunset stuff again. Because look at all that sunset stuff. That's a lot of sunset stuff. But regardless, I'm glad to be back making these, and I will not go like 2 or 3 weeks without doing them again, hopefully. And if I do, you can yell at me. I don't know where you'll yell at me. I guess comment down below if I miss uploading. But that's it for now. Like I said, let me know if you've got either of these, what you think about them. If you think Blitz should not be next to a bunch of ponies because he might do something to them, which I don't think he would, but you never know. He is a demon. Moving on from that imagery, though, I hope you had a good time in my basement today, and I'll see you in the next one.